Push! Push! You're not getting off that seat until you go. I can hear my mother to this day. My oldest sister told me boys are much more difficult to potty train than girls. And I was a good example of that, I think. I am standing in front of Sutton Hall here at IUP. This is the admissions building, among other things, on the campus. It's also the oldest building on the campus, about 1875. I did not graduate high school. Have a wild and crazy summer in '79, and then go in the fall to Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Like everybody in my class, I applied around all colleges and universities around Pennsylvania, and nobody wanted me. You know, can you imagine that? So well liked, so well loved among his peers in his class, and quite the star of the stage for many years in Swissvale, Pennsylvania. But the only college that would even offer me anything was Indiana University of Pennsylvania, IUP. And they wouldn't even offer me a fall position. They said, you have to go in your senior summer, right after graduation. And then, if your grades are good, we'll welcome you back in the winter of 1980. So, I graduated high school in '79, and a week later, my dad drove me here to IUP to begin my college career here. Grades were important because I was determined, having been slapped in the face by so many colleges and universities in Pennsylvania, I was determined to get good grades here and transfer in time to the University of Pittsburgh. Yes, the University of Pittsburgh with Dan Marino and championship football teams and basketball teams, Tony Dorsett. I was ready for big time, but I had to prove myself to Pitt. I think a good example of that was a sociology class I took here. I forget the semester. But the professor there graded on a curve, okay? And he said, there will only be one A in the class, and everybody will follow that A student based on his or her final performance. So I met with him the last time, shortly before the final exam. And he's there, you know, you're in contention for the A in my class. I'm there, yeah, I know. He's there, but, and I forget the other student, if it was a male or female. But he's there, you know, she's looking awfully good. You know, her grades are really solid. You're going to have to score like, blah, 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 97 or 96, or real up there, high. And I said, okay, I know. So we parted. He's there, you know, hope you're up for the challenge. I'm there. I'm gonna do it. I'll be top on the list. And so the final came in his class, and a week later the grades were posted, and numero uno was top dog in sociology, and having fallen in love with Max Weber and those group of people in sociology. So I got my position in the fall of 1981 at the the University of Pittsburgh in Oakland, PA, just outside of Pittsburgh. So, packed up my bags and headed down the road to Pitt. Got an apartment at Pitt, lived at Pitt, worked in Swissvale at an old Revco drugstore there. And 3 years' time, graduated Pitt with a BA in English literature. After Pitt, I decided I wanted an MA. I enjoyed the arts and literature very much, and I wanted a master's degree. So I took off and headed to the sunshine of Arizona to do graduate work at the age of 21 or so. In Arizona, I got an apartment and started taking graduate classes, and soon realized that graduate classes are a whole lot different than undergraduate classes. Because as an undergraduate class student, you are basically a child to the professor. But when you hit the graduate level, you are no longer a child. You are a peer and almost a potential threat, depending on your professor or advisor mentoring you. So I went through graduate school 2 years, and I was in the process of my thesis, working on my thesis, and for graduation, and it just completely fell apart. I mean, the strain of money, the strain of time, and getting the thesis done on time, and all the professors in a row for an oral exam, and work I was working too, and I had an apartment I was trying to maintain, and so I totally collapsed and went home to Pittsburgh once again. Shameful and tail between my legs, the fallen hero now, returning to no longer a dying steel town, but a dead steel town by the time I got back there. And I also learned later that a lot of people have trouble finishing graduate degrees. That master's thesis or that doctoral dissertation doesn't come easily or in time. It can be drawn out and dramatic. So I returned home. And in time, my sister offered me a job out west working on a film that her husband was an assistant director on. A movie called Madhouse that was filming in Tucson, Arizona. And she wondered if I would like to come out and kind of just be a stand-in for John Larroquette, who was a big star on Night Court. So I went out there, and I wanted to get out of the house, and I saw this as an opening not to only get out of the house, but also to get out of Pittsburgh and take my chances elsewhere. So I leapt at the offer and went to Tucson for about a month and a half, or a month or so. Sort of invited myself back to my sister's home with her husband, where she lived in Altadena, California, which was just above Pasadena, California. So I kind of invited myself, never got her okay, never got his okay, just went with the crew, the skeleton crew now, that was going to go to LA. And I went along and just kind of invited myself back to her place. Well, in time, she got used to the notion and begrudgingly accepted me. And I moved in with her and her husband and my niece, who was 4 years old at the time. In the meantime, I had gotten a call from a secretary, the English department in Arizona, saying that the time limit on my master's thesis was coming due, and that if I didn't finish it, paper and orals, I was gonna lose the chance at the degree, the master's degree. So I worked on that, put that together, and I called my mentor at the time, who chairman of my master's committee, and I asked him, hey, is it possible I could do my orals over the phone or on a party line or something? And because I'm out here in Pasadena now, I'm living, and I really don't have the money to put together to go to Phoenix and spend a weekend or so to meet with you. And he said, no, you got to do it in person. So I called my sister in Phoenix and I said, hello, how are you? I'm coming to Phoenix to do my dissertation. Let's have some fun in the sun. Do you mind if I stay with you and your then boyfriend for like a weekend or so? My sister said, no, you cannot. So I took a Greyhound bus, stayed at some tawdry motel on Apache Boulevard the day of the oral exams, checked in, took a shower, which flooded, by the way, the entire room that I was staying in, which says something about the room. Threw on a collared shirt, pants, some, clean shoes, and went and took my orals. My oral exam lasted about 15 minutes all told. There were 2 members of my committee and my chair person, and all said, hey, great job, well done, really super, and wish you luck. And that was it. On 15 minutes in Phoenix, and I had my master's degree. Well, anyways, I wanted my master's in that whole path that I took to it. So I wanted to teach eventually, teach college, certainly not high school. And I got the chance and loved it, really enjoyed it. Taught inner city, South Central, trade tech, eventually taught around all the schools and colleges around Los Angeles, and really found it amazing, fascinating. Perhaps one of the most moving moments was 9/11. 9/11. I was teaching at Glendale College, and class came in and took the class. I think it was like a 7 o'clock class. And I just left my apartment in Pasadena, where I had heard that a plane had struck. Well, the next class in that followed, I asked them, and mind you, the class was full. Every student was in the seat, and every student was there. I asked them, before class started, I said, what's the latest on the attack, the planes in New York? And one of the guys said, well, the tower fell. What do you mean the tower fell? It's like that it was hit by a plane? He said, no, the entire tower fell. It fell? He said, yeah. One of them? He said, no, both of them. I said, class dismissed. Go out and watch television.